Hi, my name is James Nielsen. This is for FTH223. This is my week 3 assignment, and today's date is May 10th, 2025. Before I get started, I'd like to say that there is no live ammunition present on my workbench or in my work area. And with that said, we can go ahead and get started. So part 1 of this assignment is going to require me to detail strip my SAR B6 and remove the firing pin, the recoil guide, the recoil spring guide, and the ejector. Once I have those 3 components removed for the firearm, I'm going to basically reverse engineer them. I'm going to make detailed drawings of each of the 3 components with all of their measurements. Once I have that all done, I'll be back with you guys. Alright, so I'm back. I have my drawings done here. I'm going to go ahead and bring the camera in a little bit closer so you guys can take a closer look at what I got going on here. Alright, so as you can see, we have our recoil spring guide. And we have some measurements here. This is a pretty simple component. We have an overall length of 3.818 inches. The diameter of the rod here is 0.267 inches. The head of the rod here is 0.083 inches. And then the small nub here on the end actually reads out at 0.04 inches. Now, I don't have the actual, radius of that nub or like that contour there, but at least we have the height of it. We could easily probably match that if we were trying to recreate this guide rod. Next, we have our firing pin. The firing pin does have a lot of different dimensions to it because we have the cutout for the firing pin block. You can see on this end it's flat, and the rest is rounded, and then also the firing pin itself, it tapers down. And then we have the portion of the firing pin that the hammer strikes. So I kind of have like a side view here. You can see here this small portion here is 0.060 inches. And then the length between these points here is 0.240 inches, so that little area in there. Then the tip of the firing pin is 0.061, and then it tapers up, and at the widest point of where it tapers, right here at the base, it is 0.142 inches. Now we can see here the tapered portion of the firing pin from here to here is 1.631 inches, and then here to here, which would be the flat portion of the firing pin here, to the other side of the firing pin is 0.21 inches or 0.215 inches. I forgot to get the height of that there, but the width of it of the part that the hammer strikes is 0.152. And then you can also see here the width of the firing pin on this would be this side. So you have that height is actually 0.252. So it's a little bit wider than this portion of it. But you get the idea. There's a lot of different measurements on a firing pin, but you get the gist of it. And then we'll move on to our ejector. Now, the ejector for the SAR B6 is integrated into this little sear housing. So it is quite the complicated little piece, to try to recreate or to get lots of precise measurements off of. So I have, left side, front, back, right side. I probably even should have drew a top here. I didn't take every measurement off of this because it would honestly take an absolutely long time to try to measure every single thing on here, and I probably should have drew everything a little bit bigger so I could have illustrated it better. But just to kind of go over what you'd be looking at here is, like, say this small portion in the back from here to here, I measure that out at 0.125 inches. Our ejector itself, the part that actually contacts the cartridge, is 0.545 inches from the bottom of it to the tip of it here. And then I also measured the width from like the front. So you'd be looking at it this way. The tip of the ejector is 0.055. Then I also just kind of did another measurement here, like the distance between the top of this to the bottom of this here is 0.486 inches. But I could go on for a long time with this. You have all these little grooves in here where your spring sits, and like just there's a lot going on this. You know, your holes, this hole's inset on this side, so you have curves on there. You know, you'd have to figure out the radius of those curves, and there's just an awful lot of different measurements that would have to be taken to be able to really reverse engineer this and recreate it. But you guys get the idea, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the camera set back up, and we'll get on to the next part. All right, so why is it important for a gunsmith to understand these skills? And that is going to come down to if you have to fabricate a new part, or say even if you're just trying to inspect a part to see if it is within the tolerance specs. Maybe a gun is malfunctioning and the firing pin is worn down in such a way that you can't actually tell until you actually take precise measurements, and maybe it is worn out of spec, causing malfunctions within the gun. But so understanding how to take precise measurements using calipers or micrometers, and being able to recreate a part is going to be an important part of being a gunsmith, especially on older firearms that you can't find parts for anymore. So lastly, we'll go ahead and move on to part 3, which is going to be a headspace check. To do headspace on this SAR B6, we already have our slide apart here with our barrel. So we can go ahead and grab our no-go gauges. We have our 9mm go, no-go gauges. We'll go ahead and start with our go gauge, and we're going to go ahead and place it into our chamber. And put our barrel, and we should be able to get into a locked position with our barrel and the go gauge in place. So as you can see, the barrel is in its locking grooves. So now let's go ahead and test it with our no-go gauge. Put our no-go gauge into our chamber, and we'll go ahead and place it into our slide, and I'll slide the no-go gauge over our extractor claw. And as you can see, we cannot get our barrel to lock. So it will not lock. Let's go ahead and put our go gauge in again. Place it in, we'll slide it over our extractor. And as we can see, the barrel goes into the locked position. So we know that the headspace on this firearm is good to go. So that's all I have for you today. So thanks for watching.